This podcast contains spoilers to some of your favorite cheesy holiday movies. As if you don't already know that Christmas is saved and they live happily ever after. Because magic or Christmas spirit or some shit.
Merry Christmas, I'm Dustin.
And I'm Ashley.
Welcome to the Hokey Holiday Review, a podcast where we judge cheesy holiday movies, and let's be honest, Santa and business do not mix.
That is correct. Today's movie is called Santa Girl. It can be viewed on Netflix. It stars Jennifer Stone, Devin Werkheiser, and Barry Bostwick. It was directed by Blaine Weaver and written by Patricia Harrington.
So the Netflix synopsis for the film is: fleeing the family business and an arranged marriage, Santa's daughter chooses a magical adventure of her own, college.
Yes, and that was what the movie was actually about. Netflix actually had a different synopsis, which is weird, but the other synopsis that they had about this movie said something about how Santa's daughter was supposed to be taking over the family business, and that's not at all what the movie was about.
Yeah, you could only see that synopsis when you were scrolling through, but when you actually clicked on the movie, this one came up, but we didn't see it until later.
Right, and so, like, halfway through the movie, we were like, when does she take over the family business? Like, we don't get it. Like, where does this come in? And it just never came in, because that was wrong. So, way to go, Netflix. Anyway, so the rundown of this movie basically goes like this. Santa's daughter, Cassie, wants to experience life outside of the North Pole. She's never really been outside of the North Pole, and she's dying for some life experience. So she begs her dad, Santa, who is a businessman for some reason, for her to go to college. After some hesitation, he finally lets her go, but only for one semester, because she has to come back and marry Jack Frost's son as a part of some business arrangement. Again, why? But anyway, she goes to school and has trouble adjusting because obviously she's never been in the real world. She meets two guys, JR and Sam. Each of them are trying to win her affection in one way or another. Plot twist, JR is actually Jack Frost's son, who she's never met. But he's trying to win her over so that she marries him as a part of that business arrangement. So she feels like in the end she has to marry JR to save the family biz. And as she's about to marry him, Santa, her dad, brings the other guy, Sam, to the North Pole and stops the wedding. JR and Cassie do not get married. Santa tells Jack Frost to kick rocks, basically, about that business arrangement. And Cassie and Sam are in love, the end. So that's all the major points, all in one, right there.
All right, so before we totally rip this movie to shreds, I think we should give it some respect and talk about the good things.
Yeah.
So the movie was shot over at Shenandoah University in Virginia. The university co-produced this movie, which is totally unheard of for a Hollywood production.
Yeah, that's pretty unprecedented. It's never successfully been done before.
Yeah, so the university has a deal with Capital Arts Entertainment, and with their new film program, they were able to help produce this film.
Yeah, and that is super dope, because that is not an experience that most film departments or theater departments get to have across the country. Like we said, Hollywood doesn't normally come outside of their bubble to do that kind of thing. And it's such a big deal for the students that got to be a part of it, because that's true major hands-on experience that they got to be a part of.
Yeah, and it's not just like 5 or 10 kids. There were 62 students involved.
Something like that, yeah.
It's crazy. They served as a majority of the cast and crew on the movie.
Yeah, and that's such a big deal, again, like I said, because as a person that went to school for acting and directing for film and television, I can tell you that that's not at all. Nowhere close did we have any kind of experiences like that. I mean,
right.
To be fair, I didn't have any experience at all. I think I just went to the wrong school. Maybe I should have gone to this one, but then again, I went to school a long time ago. So if I had gone to this school at that time, then like I wouldn't have had this experience anyway. But I digress.
We're packing our bags. We're moving to Virginia. We're going to Shenandoah University. Yeah. Go make some movies.
Yes, that sounds good to me. I would say that if I had that kind of experience, back in college, like my life would be very different from what it is right now.
You'd be a superstar.
It's something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. But anyway, so cool. And there's actually a whole web page on Shenandoah University's website that's dedicated to this movie, like the making of. There's like there's a documentary. I can't say documentary. There's a documentary that shows like some behind the scenes stuff, some perspectives from like the students that were involved, their perspectives and kind of what their thoughts were on just being a part of something that's so awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I'm so excited for those kids, and then anybody else that goes to university in the future that gets to do something like this. It's super awesome.
Yeah, like us when we pack our bags and go to Virginia.
Yeah, we're like pushing 30, and we're like, we're ready for college.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything else until I pay off my student loans, and then I'm talking about going back to school somewhere else and paying for more school. So
right.
Anyway, we really recommend that you check out the short documentary. Check out that webpage. We're going to drop the link in the description. It's just such a cool thing. And again, good for those kids and good for, all future kids that get to be a part of something so awesome.
So let's dive deep into this movie, get to the nitty-gritty, the stuff that just had us confused.
So many things.
And the number one thing that confused me, confused you, Santa Claus. Why is he a businessman?
I have no idea. I don't know what that was about, but it was weird. I've never seen that take on Santa.
How does it even work? I don't understand how Santa's, quote-unquote, the family business makes money. He gives away things for free.
That's literally the whole point of Santa Claus. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. But, like, he always wears a suit, like a business suit. He never wears, his Santa Claus suit.
Well, Cassie says, he doesn't wear the suit.
Yeah, she's like, he never wears the suit, and he won't eat cookies. Like, he doesn't eat cookies. Every time that people offer him cookies, and by people I mean elves, he's like, no, I can't eat those. Like, I've gotta eat salads and stuff. Like, he's like, I'm dieting. I can't do that. And, like, it makes no sense. It's everything that's anti-Santa.
Yeah, it's super strange. And he has an alliance, I guess, like a business partnership with a lot of these other mythical beings, like Jack Frost. He has the business arrangement with.
Wait, mythical?
Yeah.
You don't believe in Jack Frost?
Oh.
Or like the Tooth Fairy?
I don't.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, well that just made this podcast really awkward. But anyway, as you were saying, he's got this alliance with the Frost family. And it apparently, alliances tend to go back. So according to what he says to Cassie, Mrs. Claus, who has now passed recently, she came from the Kris Kringle family, and Santa Claus's family, had the largest reindeer farm, and they had an arranged marriage. Weirdest thing I've ever heard. But anyway, so apparently alliances, go far back. But they have this alliance with the Frost family. We have no idea what the business model is. Like, they never explain it.
Yeah, no idea.
Like, what the point of the alliance is, or what it's supposed to accomplish, or who knows. And they never talk about who the enemies are. Like, they have alliances between the different Tooth Fairy, Jack Frost, things like that. But I don't understand who the enemies are. Like, are the enemies like the parents?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
the adults that don't believe in them, such as yourself. Are you an enemy of Santa?
No, I think it's Ebenezer Scrooge.
So you.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you don't believe in Santa, that's a total Ebenezer Scrooge. That's totally you. So, I don't know. Why is Santa a businessman? Why would Santa ever be made a businessman? We have zero idea.
So, because Santa's a businessman, he's kind of got an attitude.
Yeah. He's not the happy-go-lucky, like, ho, 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 I love everyone, Christmas cheer. Like, he's not that kind of Santa. Like, business Santa is not, like, a happy Santa.
No, like, there's one line, he's talking to somebody, and he says, I'm going to walk away because I don't like you or what you're saying. Why would Santa say that?
I don't know. Like, I remember that part, and he was just like, he just straight looked the guy in his eyes and was like, yeah, I'm gonna walk away right now because fuck you, buddy. Like, that's essentially what he said. And I mean, that is just so very un-Santa-like. And I mean, we didn't see the guy's reaction. I think it was like one of the tooth fairies. But I don't know. I mean, he still seems to be the same the same Santa that cares about like all of the children that he gets presents to every year on Christmas Eve. But when it comes to his own kid, like, he is really mean to her. Like, he does not care about like her happiness at all.
Yeah,
at least at first.
Well, yeah. I mean, just the whole arranged marriage thing. Like, he's just like, you have to do this. You don't have a choice. Or
yeah.
Like, she's like, I want to go to college, and he's like,
and at first he was like, no, you can't go to college, and she had to like beg him to do something that would make her happy, and he's like, you know, all these other children, you know, it's important for them to be happy, but like not you. Like, what the fuck kind of Santa are we watching in this movie?
Yeah, definitely a different take on Santa for sure.
Yeah, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, is interesting. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of Christmas movies. And, you know, to portray Santa differently, you know, so that it stands out is definitely hard to do. And so, you know, you kind of have to also sort of appreciate the different take. But Business Santa, I have to say, is not my favorite.
Yeah, and we did talk about how he eats healthy. He doesn't eat cookies. The best line was when I think one of the elves tried to give him a cookie, and he says, "No cookies taste as good as healthy feels."
What the fuck? Like, that is not, no cookies taste as good as healthy feels. Like, that's what people who eat kale say to like make themselves feel better about eating kale, because let's be real, nobody actually likes eating kale, but like they tell themselves you know, that bad food doesn't taste as good as healthy feels because they just want to feel better about not being happy about their food choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, right? I mean, I think that's something we can all agree on. And then when he says that to the elf that offered him the cookie, and like, she's so sweet. She goes, I don't know. Cookies are pretty good. Yes, girl. Yes. You are absolutely right. Cookies are pretty good.
Yeah, and speaking of the elves, they are terrified of this Santa.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. They are so scared of him. Like, the elf, like the main elf, like supporting character, she is like terrified of him. Like, she is like, every time she comes into contact with him, she's like scared that she's done something wrong, and she's like scared that he's gonna fire her. And
later in the movie, she says something like, he's gonna kill me, or worse, put me on the naughty list, or something like that.
Yeah, fire her. It was fire her.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, when you're worried, like, when you're more worried about like being fired from a job than being like, I don't know, murdered, you need to find a new job. Like, you need to find a new employer. That's abuse, okay? Yeah. Like, that is inappropriate. Where is the HR department?
Yeah, I think the elves need to get an HR department. They need to union up, go on strike. Like, something needs to be done here.
Yeah. Like, and you actually hear it throughout the movie. She's just like, oh, Santa's gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be on the naughty list. And she even said one time, like, once you get on the naughty list, it takes forever to get off of it. It's like, I mean, how mean is he? That's, ugh, yikes.
Yeah, so enough about weird business Santa Claus.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's talk about his daughter, Cassie Claus, who I appreciate because she gets to eat candy and cookies and cakes and brownies and all that good stuff for every meal.
Yeah, that's all she eats. Like, her elves bring her a plate of, you know, just all of the sweets and goodies and stuff, and that's what she eats. And they actually kind of bring it up, like, later in the movie. Somebody says to her, is this all you eat? And she's just like, well, yeah, like it's what everybody eats. And I just want to point something out here. Not only am I like super jealous of her, but if she can eat all of that every day and not like gain any weight or anything, then how come that doesn't also apply to Santa?
That's a good question, because he's very anti-sugar.
Like, that's a really good point, and I feel like that's a little bit of a flaw in the movie, but fine. We'll suspend our disbelief, and we'll move on.
Definitely. So, the whole movie is about her going to college and experiencing life outside of the North Pole. I want to know, how did she get into college? What grades did they go off of? Did she take an SAT? Did she take the ACT? I don't know.
She obviously just slept with someone.
Going the dark route.
I mean, she seems very innocent. She seems very naive. But, like, how else would she get in? Without grades, without any sort of, like, transcripts or anything. Like, what the hell was on her application?
Well, no one's going to believe my dad's so-and-so.
Yeah,
my dad's Santa Claus. No one's going to believe that.
You usually have to write, like, an essay for a college application. And what did she write an essay on?
Probably, like, candy canes and reindeer anatomy or something. Who knows?
I mean... Another flaw that we just have to look past. But anyway, so she's never been anywhere. And apparently, I guess Santa has no, like, take your daughter to work day or anything because, like, she's literally never been outside of the North Pole. So some things that are, like, other than being a little bit, like, odd interacting with people, she's a little, like, socially awkward because she just doesn't know how to interact. And, like, she definitely does not read sarcasm very well, like, at all. Like, at all. But there's also a couple of things that don't really make sense. So, like, for example, she has no idea what a phone is. And that's weird to me because, I mean, Santa must give out phones, like, as presents, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
So, like, if she knows, like, what all the toys are, like, wouldn't she know what a phone is?
You would think so. I don't know. She was very surprised by an iPhone or
yeah. She was like, "What is this toy?" I was like, "What do you mean? Don't you know everything that could be given as a gift?"
And like 5 seconds later, she had a phone.
Yeah, and like I did question that, but I bet she just did the little magic and just like gave herself one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she does have magic.
Yes, she does. She wiggles her nose and she blinks.
And then she can make people, like, fly across the room or whatever it is.
Yeah, she made the girl's phone, like, fly out of her hand and into the lake, yeah.
Or she can, like, appear. She can, like, teleport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a thing, too. So the other thing is that Santa, when he dropped her off at her dorm, he gave her, like, a huge wad of cash. But what we discover... maybe like 5 minutes later is that she has no idea what money is. So like, first of all, Santa should know better. Like, you gave your daughter a wad of cash when she doesn't even know what dollars are.
Right. Well, I mean, if he's such a big businessman, maybe he just has so much money that it doesn't matter. I
mean, I guess, but like, wouldn't you like want to make sure that your kid understands like how money works?
You would think, but she's just it's super funny because he's like super rich, has all this money, but he like gives her this weird awkward wad of cash like he's a drug dealer or something.
It was like rolling over bands, like there were like bands on it. Yeah. And like he was Santa's that's why they never say what the business is.
That's what it is.
It's because it's drugs.
Santa's like like a cartel.
It's because it's drugs.
Yep.
There we go. We figured it out.
We solved the mystery. Turn the podcast off now. We're good.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that we've made that discovery, everything is making a lot more sense now.
Definitely.
Drugs. Drugs are the answer in this movie to all of our questions. Can we talk about Sam? Let's talk about Sam.
Yes, let's talk about Sam. So Sam is the other guy that's trying to win Cassie's affection. Not JR, but he's the other guy.
Yeah, and he's like the polar opposite of JR. JR is a little bit like frat boy-ish, but Sam is kind of like the loner, like hipster, quiet, somewhat socially awkward love interest, I guess you could call him. But there's a few goofy things that he does that just kind of make him lovable, but also it kind of opens the door to make fun of him.
Yeah, so Cassie and JR were at like this party or something, and they went outside, and guess who comes walking up? Sam, and I guess that was like the second time that she met him.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I think she'd only seen him once before.
Yeah, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "I'm stalking you." I'm just kidding. Like he says it so fast.
He said it so fast. And it was like so weird.
It made it like if he would have like there would have been more of a pause, like it would have been funny, but the fact that he said just kidding like so fast,
Yeah,
like,
right away.
Made it like, oh, maybe he really is stalking
Like
her.
it really did make it seem like he was like, I'm stalking you, wait a minute, I shouldn't have said that, I'm just kidding, but I'm kind of stalking you.
I'm not
Like,
weird, I'm not weird.
that is exactly, like, yes, that's exactly what it was. I mean, we don't think that he's stalking her, but it was just like the way he said it, obviously that joke that he had did not, come off well. He did not deliver that joke well.
Yeah.
Something else that he says, like, so they do eventually kiss in the movie, Sam and Cassie, and she says this really cheesy line. So like she kisses him, and then she goes, I've never been kissed before. And he goes, you still haven't.
And then he kisses her.
And like, it was just so goofy because...
Oh, it's... and Sam has like some of my favorite moments in this movie. I think he's probably my favorite character.
I would agree.
And there's this part where he like puts his hand up to Jack Frost's face.
At the end, yeah.
I don't remember really the context. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, like he had just schooled him in some like lawyer contract shit, and Santa just basically told Jack Frost to kick rocks, and then Sam like looks at him and he gives him this like face and like just shoves his hand at him like in his face, except he was like across the room.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna do it again. It's the second week in a row I'm making a reference to The Good Place, but it reminded me of the line when they go, "Ya basic." That's exactly what it was.
It was really funny, and the look on his face just sold it, really. Like, you guys have to watch it, I guess, so I guess you'll have to watch the movie.
Yeah.
But he's just such a goofy guy. Like, they go to a shot of him in the library. I guess he's in the library a lot. But at this particular time, like, he's just in the dark. Like, there are no lights on in the library. Like, it's like the library's closed, like, the building is closed, but he's just still in the library. Like, did he sneak in?
Yeah.
Did they turn the lights out on him? Like, can he not turn on the lights? Like, what's the story here?
Yeah, I mean, the whole point, obviously, it was like right before Jack Frost came in being menacing or whatever, like, they're setting the mood, but why the dark library at night? I don't know. Very weird.
It was really weird. And Sam, he's incredibly smart, but, like, it seems like he's a little bit dumb. So at some point, Cassie tells Sam, the whole truth about how Santa Claus is her dad, and all this stuff about how she's his daughter and she's just away at school right now, and she has to go back and marry JR. And does she say that? I don't actually know. And he like doesn't believe her, even though there are tons of signs that like kind of indicate that this is true. So like obviously there's Jack Frost that keeps showing up, and every time he shows up, like it snows around them, and it's like August with the first time it happens.
Yeah. And he's also like blue.
Yeah, he's also blue, okay? Like, and then the elf, they send an elf to college with Cassie to kind of like be her I don't know, keeper, I guess.
Yeah.
And like, but they don't hide the elf's ears. And so like the ears are like obviously pointy, and like what, he didn't notice that? And so like he misses all of these signs even though he's this smart guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just because it's just so unbelievable. Like there's no way that Santa's real and then Cassie's his daughter. Like there's no way.
I don't know. My favorite part, I think, about the whole interaction between Santa and Sam is that when Santa comes to pick him up to take him back to the North Pole to stop the wedding between Cassie and JR, Santa like hands him the contract between him and Jack Frost and is like, hey, find a loophole in this. And it's like, what?
No, yeah, Sam is studying to be a lawyer, but he's pre-law. Like he probably doesn't, it's like right at the beginning of school, so he probably doesn't know anything.
Yeah, and they said that Santa has like a ton of other lawyers. They made that mention earlier in the movie, earlier before that point, that he had a bunch of lawyers, and it's like, you couldn't like give the contract to any number of your lawyers for them to find a loophole to get you out of this contract. Like, instead you turn to like a pre-law, like undergrad student. and say, find a loophole in this contract.
I'm Santa. I have the best lawyers in the world. Let's talk to the 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, that makes no sense. But
he does it. He saves the day.
He does. He saves the day, and like we said, him and Cassie fall in love. Wait a minute. Wait,
what?
Sam is going to become Samta. Samta instead of Santa. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Oh,
I get it.
That was a really good joke. Don't boo my
joke. You're funny.
Funny look. And on that note, let's talk a little bit more about the other side characters. We've mentioned several other side characters without really kind of giving any information about them. So the elf, the main elf in the whole movie that goes with Cassie to college, her name is Pep. And for the longest time, I could not get her name straight because she was saying Pep, and then Santa kept calling her Pup, because he can't ever remember his elves' names for some reason. I guess that's the businessman in him. But for the longest time, I thought she was saying Pap. And so for a while in the movie, I was calling her Pap Smear. I was referring to her as Pap Smear because I didn't know what her name was. And they revealed later, or like when we put on the subtitles or something, it was Pep. And so that makes a lot more sense, actually. So that's what we went with. But again, as we said earlier, like she had pointy ears. And, like, just no one notices until word gets out that supposedly Cassie is Santa's daughter. And then all of a sudden, everybody notices her ears.
Yeah, nobody said anything before. And then all of a sudden, they're making fun of her.
Yeah. And Pep actually makes sense for her name because she's actually very peppy, very energetic. And we kind of discover it's really just because she's on a sugar high the whole time because all she eats is sugar. And at one point, she actually opens a pixie stick and just, like, downs it. Like, I mean, I guess that's how you eat a pixie stick. I don't know. I haven't eaten a pixie stick since, like, middle school. But like, if it were a drink, she would have just, like, chugged it. And, like, that's how she just, like, remains crazy energy.
Yeah, and truth be told, I'm a little worried for Pep because she's off at college right now with Cassie. And I'm afraid she's going to go to a party. She's going to see some kids with some quote-unquote pixie sticks at the party, snorting them in their nose, and she's going to be like, oh, wow, that must be a fun way to get sugar.
Oh, she's going to be like, oh, I want some of that pixie stick.
But no, it's cocaine. Peppa's going to be on cocaine, and it's going to be bad.
Another one of your fan theories for this movie, at least.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. So, JR, we've mentioned JR quite a few times as Jack Frost's son, who is betrothed to marry Cassie as a part of that arranged marriage. But JR he's a little weird. Like, he seems to be more in touch with the like, outside world than Cassie. Like, he seems to have had a lot of experience. Like, he knows that, like, at a college party, when you get a drink, it means there's alcohol in it. Like, he knows mostly, like, how to interact with people. But he still says, like, really weird things that, like, you don't know, like, he phrases things weird.
Yeah, he doesn't talk like how people talk, and I don't know if that's, like, intentional or it's just, like, weird writing, but he says things like, he's like, may I escort you? Or like,
yeah, when he was taking her to the bookstore, like, instead of just being like, hey, you want to go to the bookstore with me? He was like, may I escort you?
Or then when they're at the bookstore, he's like, you're my first friend at college, and that's exactly how he says it. Just like,
who says that?
It's not like, oh, I don't even know. Like, it's something you don't even need to say. It's like a thought. I
guess. I have to say that when I met, like, my now friends from college, like, when I met them at college, like, I certainly didn't go up to them and say, hey, you're my first friend at college. Like, they probably would have been like, yeah, bye. So that's weird. And then, like, the day that he met her, like, that all that happened, they went to the bookstore, and then when she was, like, going back to her dorm, like, they've known each other at this point, like, an hour, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah.
And he's like, what if I want to be more than friends. Like, bro.
Settle down.
Yeah, like, you horn dog. Like, let's just calm it down, okay? Like, maybe get to know each other first, all right?
I guess it makes sense when we find out, like, his motives, you know?
Well, yeah. But, like, still, that's such a weird
slow
thing.
Your roll.
Like, look, if I walked up to a random guy that I just met at college and he was like, hey, what if I wanted to be more than just friends? I'd be like, where's my rape whistle?
Yes, exactly.
Like, handshake and I'll avoid you in the walkways. Okay. It's just so weird.
And then our last major side character is Jack Frost, and he's just creepy. Like,
he is really creepy.
He's just super creepy, and he's supposed to be. But the best thing that happens, I guess Pep is walking through the school campus, and she sees somebody running, and she realizes it's Jack Frost. Or he wasn't running, he was walking.
Yeah.
But she sees Jack Frost, so she starts running after him like, hey, Mr.
Frost! Mr. Frost!
It's me, Pep the elf. And then he sees her, and he's wearing like this cape thing. and he like, what is it? He like sees her, and then he turns, and then he turns like the cape around him like he's Dracula.
Yeah.
And then he runs away.
Yeah, like it was like the classic like vampire getaway, like vampire escape move. Like he turns around, looks at her, and then whoosh is his cape, like pulls it up over his face and just like does this really weird like run. Like with the cape over his face. And like I feel like they could have done without it. It was weird. It was incredibly comical, but it didn't make sense for his character because he's like a super serious, like no bullshit character. And then, but like as soon as he's like a deer caught in headlights, then he just does this like super goofy, like trademark vampire escape. It's just so, and he's not even a vampire.
No.
It's just so ridiculous. But I'm pretty sure we laughed about that for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie.
The whole movie.
The whole movie.
The whole movie.
That part of the movie gets a 10 out of 10.
All right. So that's really all about the characters of the plot of the movie that we really wanted to talk about. But there are a couple of like technical things about the movie that we sort of want to rag on. Yeah,
so one thing I noticed, there's a lot of like bad lighting, a lot of inconsistent lighting between shots. Like somebody will be talking, one person's really bright, the other one's not. Just super weird.
Yeah, it's almost like they left the lighting when they changed their camera shots.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. And then something that really bugged me is that Cassie's hair kept changing color. Like it kept going back and forth between red and dark brown. I'm not sure which one is her like normal hair color. I think it might be brown, but
she had like three different shades
throughout
the movie.
Like,
you go back and forth.
Weird. It was weird.
The movie also had a lot of bad cuts. Like it would be the same shot, and then you could tell that like they stopped and then started again because everything would be slightly moved a little bit.
Yeah, it was almost like a glitch.
Yeah, it looked more like a glitch, but yeah, it was kind of annoying. It happened probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and then there was one time where like the shot was like completely off. Like it got like the lower half of somebody's face when it was supposed to have like obviously it was supposed to have gotten like their whole face.
Yeah,
and that was
you just got like their mouth.
Yeah, it was kind of like. It was kind of like one part of the face, and then it was like mostly the bottom part of the face, and it was just an odd cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that at the end of the movie, when Santa picks up Sam to take him to the North Pole, he actually picks him up in a sports car and says that it has like so many.
It's like 620 reindeer
it was like,
power.
Yeah,
or something.
650, I think it was, like reindeer power instead of horsepower. So when he gets him in the car and the car is like flying away, like the graphics of that are just like sick, bro.
Top notch graphics.
Like it was,
motion graphics, awesome.
It was super super fake, and you could tell. But it was funny.
So this movie would not be a Christmas movie without the lesson, without the moral.
Yeah.
What is the lesson? I say it's don't let greed take over the things that are important in life. Family, friends, and your love for cookies.
I'd say that's a pretty good lesson. I mean, like, corporations...
Yeah, don't let the man bring you down.
Yeah. Don't let the man bring your Christmas spirit down.
That's right. Keep the spirit up.
And that's why at the end of the movie, Santa realizes that he doesn't need to be a businessman. He put on his red suit, he started eating cookies again, and he reverted back to the old Santa that we know and love. So,
and he even met a new lady at the end of the movie.
He even met a new lady. Yep.
Get some, Santa.
Get some and keep eating.
All right, so let's talk about the ratings.
The ratings!
Woo! So IMDb gave the movie 5 out of 10 stars.
Common Sense Media gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
One of the most incredible movie reviews I've ever seen in my life, very detailed and very heartfelt, was a random comment on letterboxd.com. They gave it half a star, and they said, not this.
That was their whole comment.
And somehow I get it, you know? If I didn't see the movie, I'd be like, okay.
Okay, not this.
Yeah.
Whatever that viewer was expecting from this movie, they did not get it. Whatever it was, this was not it.
They probably saw the incorrect synopsis on Netflix, and they were like, well, that's not what the movie was about.
See? Yeah. They gotta work on that, you know?
Figured it out.
As for our own ratings, though, it was a cheesy Christmas movie. Obviously, we had a lot of things to make fun of on it. We had a lot to say on it. But I would say that just factoring in the history of, like, how this movie was filmed and the incredible experience that those film students got, I give it 20 out of 20 Christmas cookies.
All right. So since the movie's about college, I have to go college-themed.
Naturally.
I'm going to give the movie 420 out of 69 nice keg parties.
You are a child.
Yes, I am. All right, that's a wrap on episode number 2 of the Hokey Holiday Review. I'm Dustin.
I'm Ashley.
Thank you for joining us. Come back next week for another episode of fun-filled Christmas magic.
Yeah, and we're not even going to tell you what movie it is. It's a surprise.
It's a secret.
That's because we don't know what movie it is either. We have to watch it.
But be sure to check us out on Facebook at the Hokey Holiday Review, on Instagram, Hokey Holiday Review, Twitter at Hokey Holiday, or you can send us an email at thehokeyholidayreview@gmail.com.
Yeah, and until next week, have a great week, and remember that Business Santa is watching, and he's not as nice as regular Santa.
Not at all.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.